G'day, I'm Colin Dangaard and welcome back to the Colin Dangaard Show. With me is my great writing partner, Dr. Ed Wagner. We've written together for 30 years through Helen, all sorts of stuff. And of course we've got a lovely horse here in between us. What I'd like to talk about today is how we communicate with these horses. It's my belief that they read us extremely well. And research has shown that it's to do with the heart, the size of our heart, and the size of their heart. The horse has a heart 5 times greater than our heart. And it goes on electromagnetic rhythm. This horse has already figured out my heartbeat and Ed's heartbeat. And he's licking his lips right now. He's very happy. And Ed and I have ridden together, and often we gallop through these hills here in the mountains in Malibu, and it's marvellous. And we always say how amazing the horses seem to know what we're going to do. And Ed says, yep, Ed has dreams about where we're going to go, and that's where it takes over.
Well, when I have a dream of what we're going to do in the mountains, what is absolutely amazing, which I think about, is that my horse knows my dream. And I think that I'm leading that horse. But in fact, I'm just sitting there, and that horse, with the slightest maneuvers, is following my mind, my dream. I've already planned it in my head. And I have to do very little. And it's as if we are one that thought this out rather than just me.
I keep trying to find something that'll be scary, and I've been doing this for years. I can't scare Ed anymore. He scares me most of the time now, and he's brought his lovely girlfriend Christina along, and she's become an excellent horsewoman as well. And so I can have a bit of fun scaring Christina, but she's getting harder to scare too. The only creature I do not scare is this horse, because the horse has it all figured out. We've known the horse the horse has been around 50 million years, they say. We've been around 5 million years, so they say. And so at some point or other, the horse was really our leader. And they say that man's best and oldest friend is a dog. I kind of challenge that a little. I think the horse has been around a lot longer. We've civilized the horse over many, many years, thousands and thousands of years, and we of course corralled them to eat them first of all, and then we discovered that they were better to ride and more useful for pulling things and hauling things. But mostly the thing I found, and that Ed and I often talk about, is they seem to know what we are thinking. I can approach a horse and they'll read you like a book, even before you get there. And research has shown that they have a heartbeat. Their heart is much bigger than ours, so is the beat bigger, and the neurotransmitters it triggers in our body goes to our brain, to the pleasure center, and so we feel good around horses because we're getting flooded with those good vibes.
Well, I've learned quite a bit. I've owned wolves. I've owned dozens of dogs. And I can't say that I learned a lot from the dogs. I cared for them. We had a great bond. But what a horse has taught me is unbelievable. Now, in equine therapy, people have troubles. They have emotional troubles. They've been wounded. And that through the equine therapy, the horse mimics back to the person in some way. So if the horse is afraid, or if the person's afraid, and the horse will maybe will turn away. There's multiple feedbacks taking place where the person, patient, client of the equine person, doesn't know what's happening. He can't think this out. It's just happening. But I came to an awareness a while back. What happens if you're honest with the horse? And I tried that. We're going to go out with Colin one day. And I really thought of this rugged ride. None of us have done it, including Colin. And I wanted to show him that another level. We're always in competition. So I thought, and I was apprehensive, and I came up to that horse, my horse, and while I was walking up, I admitted what I was to that horse. That's different. If the equine therapist could somehow talk to the person and tell them what they were feeling to the horse. So I walked up and I said to my horse, Breeze, I said, I'm apprehensive about this today. Total honesty. And I asked the horse, I said, do you think we could do this? I didn't have to explain it. That horse knew what I was thinking. My horse turned around, raised his head up like that, looked me square in the eye, and I knew by his body language that my horse said, yes, I can do it. From that, now I know that was real. It's not makeup because my apprehension left me instantaneously. And I took Colin on the ride of his life, 2 giant mountains that he hadn't done before. Or he did, maybe he did a long time ago, but this was radical and a lot faster. And so that was my next great thing that I hope people who watch this, who are in some way involved with equine therapy, as they go up to the horse, they can say, you know, I'm a worthless being, or I'm afraid, or I'm an angry person, or I have rage, or I hate this. Can you help me? Rather than just going up there and hoping for the best. And that's what I've learned. The other thing I've learned is that the horse has taught me so much. There's some kind of interconnection. Dogs, I love them, and they love me, but they haven't taught me that much, if anything. What the horse has taught me is to have courage. It's taught me to connect on another level that maybe never have before. And it takes a lot of work to get there, but that's where I'm headed. And the last couple rides that Colin and I had were so radical that you had to have that form of communication just to even dare it. It was straight down, 8-foot brush, over rocks, can't see the ground, and I led the thing to see if I could scare him. And it was a thrill.
I'll vouch for that. It was a thrill. I thought, I've taught Ed too well. Now he's scaring me. Enough of that. Well, but as Ed said, and as we've often discussed, if you show fear, the horse is going to reflect your fear. If you show courage, the horse is going to also show courage. And this has been going on with man and horse for 6,000 years. Roman soldiers, when Caesar Augustus was taking over the entire world, they believed in riding bareback, and because they believed that the horse transmitted power from the earth up to their bodies and made them braver and bolder. Well, in effect, that was actually true. But the scientific reason for it is that the Earth is a great transmitter of power and electricity, and this goes up through your body, mobilize the neurotransmitters in your body, and that goes to the pleasure center of your brain. Ed and I have often put people on horses they've never been on a horse, and we'll say to each other, look at this, the first thing that person is going to do when they get on the horse, never sat on a horse before, is they're going to smile and they're going to look happy. And sure enough, every single time a person gets on a horse and relaxes after they know they're not going to fall on the ground, they go, wow, this is an amazing feeling. I'm so happy doing this, and they're smiling and giggling and carrying on because they're happy. The neon, and this horse is happy now. Look, he's licking his lips, and that's a sign of a happy horse, licking his lips and carrying on. He likes my voice. He likes Ed's voice too. They all like our voice, and because I'm talking in a calm way, my horse is not my speech is not elevated. He's already read my heart rhythm. He can read my heart. My heart is just beating normally and quietly. And he's taken that in. He's saying, oh, well, yeah, Colin's quite relaxed, and so is Ed. They're a couple of relaxed dudes, so I'm just happy to be standing here in the beautiful sunlight in beautiful California and licking my lips, and I'm really, really happy.
Well, there's another horse standing here besides this horse, and that's Colin, and I'll tell you why. Colin is raw animal. He grew up in the outback in the mud, out in the nowhere with almost no clothes, just mud, wild animals, rustling horses, selling horses, living off the land. So what I have come and realized is that just talking, being around, receiving information from Colin is the same thing as the horse, except I can discuss it to a certain degree. I remember one of my first lessons here. He just found this big, giant horse. I was very apprehensive. And he says, this horse is going to be good for you. And I said, okay, well, what do you want me to do? Well, my first lesson, see this mountain behind here? I don't know if the camera can see the steepness. It's radical steep. There's boulders. He had me run up this hill on the rock side and come down that side. And it's a sense of trust. It was as if the horse was saying, I can do it. Well, Colin was telling me he could do it. So I've never met anybody else like Colin who has the same frequency as a horse. He's like, he is the horse. So I trust him. I've never said no to Colin, no matter how scary it's been. And I just do what he says, just like I do. If I feel the horse is going to do something, I just go with the horse. If the horse runs away with me, I don't try to stop him. I just let him go and enjoy the ride. So in doing that, the horse becomes more one with you. And so, Colin.
I'm standing on it, yes. Okay, I'm standing on the rope, okay. But Ed said something earlier in our discussion here about being honest with the horse. That's the key. You have to be real honest, because they can read you like a book because of the power of their heart. And the heart is, it's actually more powerful than the brain. The heart and the gut rules the brain. That's been proven over and over. So they can pick up your heartbeat from about 20 paces easily, and by the time you get up to 10 paces, they know exactly your mood, whether you're in a hurry, whether you're anxious or whether you're calm, or all that stuff. And I used to steeplechase for years, and that's about the craziest thing you can do on a horse, except chasing cattle, feral cattle in the outback. That's more crazy. But so I would get a bit apprehensive about that, and I thought one day, and going for a big steeplechase over on the East Coast, outside of Pennsylvania, and I'm a bit nervous. I brought my big horse Tower over there, and I think I'm going to do all right. And I thought, well, yeah, but I'm still a bit nervous. And I thought, yeah, I'm going to, just before I mount this horse, I'm going to take a big thing of port, a whole glass of port, and bang, it hit me. And I thought, yeah, that's it. Now I feel bold, don't I? Yeah, I'm all licking up here. This is great. So I strut up to that horse and say, yeah, well, I'm the boss here, and we're going to run our guts out, okay? And he just looked at me like I was a goddamn idiot. He saw right through it. He said, you were scared before you had a drink, and now you're scared now. But I'm asking it. But, the race went well, and we won the race, and it was pretty wild. And, but you have to be honest with the horse, because they know where you're at. And you just can't trick them. You can't fool them. Because they've been around so much longer than we have, millions of years longer, and they're very perceptive. We don't know everything about the horse. We know something about the horse, a lot about the horse, if you would. Physically, we know how their bodies work, but we don't know about this mind that they have. They have a sense of perception and a sense of survival that supersedes the sense of any other living creature on the planet. That's why they've been around 50 million years. And they didn't develop teeth to rip attackers apart or horns or any of that stuff. They developed speed. They could outrun anything except maybe a cheetah, but they knew where the cheetahs were too. And so that's honesty with the horses, the very best way to go, because you can't fool them, you can't trick them.
Then another aspect, all horses have to be broken. There's all different kinds of means to do that. But in equine therapy, or in whether it's a real professional equine therapy or not, the horse is breaking the person. If you think about that, that's exactly what the horse is doing. Now, that can be a long process, it can be a short process. I believe the more honest you are, like I was on that apprehensive day, telling the horse what it was, the horse was able to do it easily. Now, if I was a super fearful, angry, filled with discouragement, disruptive, teenager, well, the horse has to do a lot. Might take weeks, might take months. But I believe the horse breaks the person that needs it. Then there's a final aspect that almost nobody probably, or I've never heard anybody speak of it, and that is that the horse is being healed by us. Because almost all horses in some way have a character or personality defect. They've either been abused, they've been left alone, they have not been fed, they were restricted from fun their whole life. They were never allowed to run. They had to stay their whole life in an arena or just a trail with fences, and they had to walk, or they had to go in circles, or they had to jump over something, but they were never really allowed to be horses. Maybe in other states, but most of the case, that's what it is. Cowboys are different. And I believe that when you get past your own issues and you're there wanting to connect to the horse, to show the horse a better life, and when it realizes it can trust you for that, it starts becoming healed. And that's what the word communication is. Almost everybody, well, in equine therapy, the communication is from, of course, the horse to the person. And the horse is reading back what the gains and the difficulties of the client. But there comes a time, if you're aware enough, and if you're riding properly, and wild enough, you might say, that the horse is being healed. And I have seen many times in Colin's horses, when he's gotten a new horse, that through my communication, there became an equal communication back and forth. I feel that's where I am with my horses, whatever horse I ride. Now, I literally transform the horse. It's transforming me, but I'm transforming it. And that's what it loves the most. Horses are different. A dog just wants to be loved and petted and taken on a walk. That's different. The horse wants to communicate with a rider, because we're not on top of the back of a dog. We got a leash around its neck. We sometimes let it go wild and just run its heart out. But most of the time, they don't even get to do that. And so when you get to that place where you're making the horse happier, you're giving it a better life, you're taking away its past traumas, the reward inside of me is as great as the horse having a sense of reward of healing the person that it's healing. It's not a one-way street. Although the second part, very few people will ever attain. But if they get into real riding, that's what they'll know. And if you know it ahead of time, it won't take so long.
So what about I wonder about the future of the horse. The horse has been first we ate the horse, then we used it for hauling stuff, and then we discovered we could ride it. Then we discovered we could fight each other off its back with swords and lances and every other thing. And that started around about with the Sarmatian women warriors about 400 BC and continued on. throughout most of the until this new century. But I actually saddled the horses for the special forces in Afghanistan. So I'd be the last saddler for the military in actual reality, the last American saddler for the U.S. forces, and I did that in Afghanistan. Sold them 150 saddles, and they rode those horses in Afghanistan. And I tried to get there on the purpose of fitting the saddles, but the lieutenant wanted nothing to do with me there. He says, "You'd be a prime suspect. They just kidnap you right away, and we'd have to pay a ransom to get you back." And I had to laugh to myself, because that was a typical thing to do in ancient warfare. Was the first person to be captured was always the saddler. The saddler was the person who made the difference between winning a war and not winning a war. After Attila the Hun invented the first saddle and beat the Romans because he had a saddle. And so it's the horse has learned to carry us and wants to be our friend. I've never seen another animal like this who really wants to be your friend. All of these horses are basically rescues, abandoned, beat up, whatever. But look at them now. They just want to be around. This one's got some feed on the ground, so it wants to be around its feed. That's another thing, is that you can have all kind of relationship with the horse, but you never have the same relationship with the horse's feed does. That's it.
Want to trust that it's going to be fed from the owner, maybe not us, just a stogger, but from the owner. That even connects the bond even more. So I think that, well, this horse is just wonderful. I think that connection of allowing and understanding that we are healing all of this gives a sense of reward inside our spirit. And it is a bond. To just go sit and talk to your horse is different than talking to a dog. And
they'll listen to every tone of your voice. And you change your voice just a little octave. If I spoke a bit higher now and I wanted to speak angrily, this horse would back up and I wouldn't be able to hold him. So I'm not going to do that to even demonstrate it. And that's Badger wants to get into the picture. They're camera hogs, all of them. But it's my show, okay, Badger? It's my show.
what they know what this is about.
But Ed brought up a point about therapy in horses. I think we've gone through many things with the horse, as I said, from eating them to using them, and now we're going to use them again in a different way for therapy. Equine therapy is the biggest breakthrough in a long time. Scientists have discovered by connecting your spirit with the spirit of this horse, you elevate your own forces within your body, and it for the good, and you get overpowered with all kinds of things that cure diseases, cures anxiety, cures everything. You can't sit on a horse and be anxious. You can't. It's not possible. You can't sit on a horse and worry about the office. That's not possible. If you do, find a steeper hill and go down it. Increase speed. Give yourself something else to think about. I guarantee, follow me for 10 minutes in the hills of Southern California, and you will not think of the office. You might scream and holler, but you won't be thinking of the office.
Can you guys talk about some of the nonverbal communication between man and the horse? Because you already talked about some of the mirroring that happens between the emotional connection, the spiritual connection, but maybe like some of the nonverbal cues that they give, even though it's kind of like a mirror game.
Take it.
Well, there's I think the highest level of nonverbal is when you really become somewhat masterful. You don't have to be super expert, but somewhat mastering riding a horse. I was noticing the last half dozen rides how my horse understands every single bit of my body language. I'm hardly ever using the reins. I use my leg, my toe to turn them. I just think go to right. We go to right. I just think about going off a hill, and he just turns and goes. Every motion seems to be one, and that is a great thing. Rather than you're on top of a horse trying to guide it, you're should be on top of the horse, and it's reading your body. But in order to do that, you have to be extremely relaxed. You have to not be thinking about riding. And in doing so, the horse will just react to whatever you're doing, and it's almost a beautiful,
It's a choreography.
yeah.
And it's like a dance. When you're riding a horse properly, it's actually a dance. There's a step to every dance, and riding a horse has a step to it. You've got to be in step with the horse, and you can. But it's mind to mind that's the most powerful thing. You can experiment with it yourself, and to read a horse and to communicate mind to mind with the horse, it is another language, and you have to practice it like you do any language. I speak a little Spanish, not too much. To get good, I'd have to practice Spanish. Well, to get good with talking with horses, you have to practice talking with them. And there's ways to do that. There's methods, okay? You can be riding along on the trail, and instead of just looking at the sky and looking at the mountains and thinking, isn't it beautiful out here, do some little experiments. Ride along and concentrate on a rock, say to your left there, and think about that rock and look back to the horse and project an image of that rock to the horse. And then stay looking at it, and you will see, which is Ed has already said, they start looking there. They'll look there. Now, you haven't cued them at all. All you're doing, it's a mind thing. You just said we're going to go around that rock. And sure enough, with any little sort of effort, they'll go around that rock. And that's the first basic element of talking with the horse. Now, if you can extrapolate that to more complicated situations. I got horses that who'll do figure eights, and a horse should follow you because he wants to follow you, because he's connected with you. They want to be connected to us. They really want to serve us. It's an odd thing. Why would a creature that we've brutalized since the very beginning, why would it want to serve us? I always wonder about that. That's the strangest thing.
Yeah. Even a dog, wants to serve us, but not in this way. It does it more for a pet and petting and maybe the food. But the horse wants to journey with us because we're riding them, or we're taking them, or the way we take care of them. It is that. There's come on.
Okay.
So that is why people who say, "Oh, you're abusing the horse." Nobody rides as hard as I do, and I've never abused my horse. My horse wants to do it. He wants to serve me at that limit. He wants to be a horse, and he wants an owner that wants to have a horse, and not just like a pet, like a dog, or over-controlled. This horse is a fantastic horse. All of these horses are great horses, and they want to serve us. They want to go on a ride. They want to see what they can perform.
And the mountain horses, they've been trained to go down very steep mountains and canter across mountain sides, and they can feel our apprehension, they can feel our concerns, but they want to serve us and they want to do the best they can. But they want to be bold too, and if you're bold, they're bold. If you wimp out, they wimp out. There's an old Irish expression in steeplechasing. The way to get over a jump is throw your heart over it and follow your heart. The horse is secondary, third. You just happen to be on the horse, that's it. That's Colin Dangaard, and thanks for joining us with the horses here, and Dr. Ed Wagner, my incredible riding partner, who scares the hell out of me.
Thank you, everybody.